Imagine yourself enjoying a calm day on the water, peacefully boating down the river, basking in the sun, and completely oblivious to the chaos that's about to surface. First, the sound of the water changes. Then, its blues turn a shade darker. Before you know it, you only see flashes of sunlight as massive fish explode through the surface on all sides of the boat and create a frenzied topside. In fact, these fish can literally jump 10 feet out of the water. Sounds crazy, right? But it's real. This is the Asian carp, a fish that has taken over America's rivers, causing chaos and upsetting the balance of nature wherever it goes. What started back in the 1960s and 70s as a way to control algae has now turned into a serious problem. Asian carp eat up food meant for other fish, push out native species, and can even hurt people on boats. There's no easy way to stop them, which is why they become one of the most hated fish in the USA. And that's not even the crazy part. Ironically, the same fish that America hates the most is actually loved and even farmed in places like China, where it comes from. So now the big question is, can this environmental villain be turned into a gold mine? And what should the US do? Get rid of it or make the most of it? Let's dive into the unbelievable story of how the Asian carp went from being a helpful solution to America's most hated fish. Back in the 1960s and 70s, scientists were worried about chemicals and other harmful substances being used to clear water and control unwanted plants. So they devised a solution by importing Asian carp from China, a fish with the perfect biological traits to help. At the time, it seemed like a smart move, but little did they know that this heroic act would later trigger one of the worst ecological disasters in US history. At first, the plan worked, but things took a dangerous turn when Arkansas breeders released the carp into canals and waterways. The fish adapted quickly, multiplied fast, and soon began spreading uncontrollably. By the late 1990s, massive floods in the southern US swept thousands of Asian carp, mainly silver and bighead carp, into the Mississippi River, which runs through 31 states. On the surface, they look like any other fish, but biology tells a different story. Asian carp are like invasive machines, built to survive and take over. With no natural predators and superior adaptations, they sit at the top of the food chain, outcompeting native species. This leads to ecological chaos, reduced biodiversity, and even the risk of native species disappearing in certain areas. So what exactly makes this fish so invasive and unstoppable? The two most common Asian carp species are the silver and big-headed carp. Both are filter feeders, meaning they feed on tiny plankton in the water, especially blue-green algae. The big-headed carp is the largest, reaching up to 110 pounds, about 50 kilograms, while the silver carp is generally smaller, reaching up to 80 pounds. Over 36 kg in ideal conditions. Both can live up to 20 years and reach full maturity around 3 to 4 years of age. And these fish are serious eaters. They can consume up to 20% of their body weight in a single day. That might not sound like much, but in a freshwater ecosystem, it's enough to destabilize the food web. Native fish like ciscos, yellow perch, and bloaters simply can't compete. And it gets worse. Asian carp are some of the most prolific breeders in freshwater. A single female can lay up to 1 million eggs in a season. With their fast growth and early maturity, a population can explode from just a few hundred to millions in a matter of years. They outcompete native species not just in feeding, but in reproduction too. While they dominate rivers and lakes, wiping out competitors and wreaking havoc on ecosystems, they've also earned a special place in human frustration, making them the most hated fish in the US, and for reasons beyond just their environmental impact. Did you know that the Asian carp, especially the silver carp, can literally jump out of the water up to 10 feet high? How, you ask? Well, they have super sensitive reflexes that react to noise or vibrations in the water. For example, the roar of a boat engine can send a school of silver carp, each weighing up to 30 pounds, flying into the air, sometimes hitting boaters and damaging boats. According to the Great Lakes Commission, silver carp could threaten the $5 billion annual commercial and recreational fishing industry in the Great Lakes. This jumping ability is unique to silver carp, as bighead and other carp species don't have the same sensitive reflexes. While the Asian carp can cause a significant negative impact to the river ecosystem, this is nothing compared to the amount of threat it poses to the Great Lakes and the fishery industry that is found in them. Let's see how. The Great Lakes aren't just like any other water body out there. They're special, forming the largest surface freshwater system on the entire Earth. These lakes hold up to 21% of the world's surface freshwater and 90% of the US's. They serve as a home to over 3,500 aquatic species, with more than 170 fish species and up to 188 non-native aquatic species, many of which are invasive in nature. Apart from being a home, they also provide drinking water to over 40 million people between the US and Canada. Unfortunately, the fight against invasive species in the Great Lakes has been ongoing for decades. Even with major efforts to protect the basin, the threat from Asian carp is very real. In parts of the Mississippi River, Asian carp now make up as much as 97% of the total fish biomass, outnumbering nearly every other species. And they're steadily moving toward the Chicago Canal, the link between the Mississippi River and the Great Lakes. Stopping them from reaching the Great Lakes has never been more urgent. These fish don't just threaten the freshwater ecosystem, they also put the $7 billion fishing industry at risk. Scientists warn that even a small number of Asian carp, if both male and female, manage to get through the Chicago Canal, they could breed fast enough to take over the Great Lakes. Commercial fishermen on the Illinois River catch over 25,000 pounds of Asian carp regularly, but it barely makes a dent in their booming population. Experts agree that separating the Great Lakes from the Mississippi River is the most important step to protecting them, but it will require highly effective measures. However, the US isn't giving up on the fight. Protecting the Great Lakes from an Asian carp invasion has become a top priority for both the US and Canada. The two countries had to come up with ways to stop this invasive fish from reaching the lakes. In October 2010, 5 years after Asian carp became illegal to possess in Ontario, Canadian fisheries officials teamed up with the US on an 18-month study costing over $400,000. The goal is to understand the risks the carp pose and track how they move through waterways. By March of 2011, the study recommended that both countries set up a joint organization to tackle the threat from Asian carp and other invasive aquatic species. One major solution was the underwater electric fence in the Chicago Sanitary and Ship Canal, a man-made waterway linking Lake Michigan and the Mississippi River. These fences create pulsing electric fields in the water, making it uncomfortable for carp to swim through. So far, 3 electric fences have been installed, costing millions of dollars. Scientists also developed a noise-based technique. Using underwater speakers, they blast sounds that only Asian carp can hear, thanks to the fish's extreme sensitivity. This keeps the carp from moving past certain points without disturbing other fish. In Illinois, researchers came up with bubble walls. A perforated pipe at the bottom of the canal shoots up a stream of bubbles, blocking the carp's line of sight and disorienting them as they approach. Meanwhile, in China, the carp's native home, these fish are considered valuable and are a major part of aquaculture. While the US and Canada fight to keep them out, China has found a way to manage and even benefit from them. Let's take a look at how China keeps the carp population in check. Now, the saying, "one man's trash is another man's treasure," holds true because in China, Asian carp is seen as an affordable source of protein that feeds millions. The government has even taken steps to grow its population, like shutting down much of the commercial fishing in rivers to protect the carp. They've also set up artificial breeding programs and done genetic research to improve traits. Even with these efforts, China's carp population isn't enough to feed the second most populous country in the world. Meanwhile, the US has plenty of Asian carp, but doesn't want them. In fact, American consumers are hesitant to eat the fish. This, however, opens up a business opportunity: exporting US Asian carp to China. Not only could this turn a hated invasive species into a profitable product, but it could also help reduce the carp population in US rivers and lakes. What started decades ago as a simple solution to clean waterways has turned into one of America's biggest ecological debates. The Asian carp is clearly both a menace and, surprisingly, a potential miracle. This raises one big question: should America fight the carp? Or would turning it into a business opportunity with China be more effective? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Should this invasive species be destroyed or domesticated? And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more informative content. See you in the next one.